Xbox's mass layoffs have arrived, which will cost 3,200 Xbox employees their jobs and see 5 studios depart the Microsoft-owned gaming company. Welcome to Inside Games Daily, where we just hate this crap.
Yeah, what monkey's paw shit is this? God damn it. I mean, it's not about us. We're not making it about us, but we got into this to talk about video games and have fun, and that's why all of us did this, and yet somehow it's just a never-ending shit show. Every day is a new nightmare, a new knife in the back. Well, anyway, before we get into our reporting, we should at least extend our sympathies for whatever it's worth to anyone affected. We've said this before. We've been through this ringer a number of times, and it sucks. It never gets easier, and it should be better than this. It should be better than this. Well, it's our sad duty to report the news, so Brian, you report the news. Jeez.
This is the saddest throw to ever, but I will do my best. Xbox CEO Asha Sharma laid out the situation very directly in an Xbox Wire post this morning. 1,600 jobs eliminated immediately, with 3,200 jobs to be cut throughout this fiscal year. And according to The Verge, that amounts to a 20% job reduction by the end of fiscal 2027. That is huge.
Yeah, it's massive. Additionally, 4 Xbox studios, with a possible 5th studio, will be leaving Xbox studios under new management. So either their own or someone else's.
Yeah, Double Fine Games and Compulsion Games will both return to independent management. If there's any shred of good news, it's this. Both Double Fine and Compulsion Games will retain their pre- and post-acquisition IP, so they'll be able to keep operating and making the games that they already made.
Yeah, meanwhile, Sharma says that Ninja Theory and Undead Labs have entered terms with an unannounced partner to fund both studios' games, Senua and State of Decay 3 respectively, so that's good news. Arcane Leon will also be divested from Xbox Studios, although today's announcement signals the beginning of a consultation process required by French employment law.
Asha Sharma also describes general reductions in other units across Activision, Bethesda, Blizzard, King, Mojang, and Xbox Game Studios, but assures that, quote, none of our first-party publicly announced games or projects are being canceled because of today's bloodletting.
Yes, very careful consideration of all the optics in this announcement, for whatever that's worth. King and Mojang, which are the makers of Candy Crush and Minecraft respectively, will now report directly to Sharma.
Sharma then spent the rest of the post explaining why thousands of people had to lose their jobs. In a few different ways, Sharma explained basically that Xbox has continued hiring while their platform and revenues have shrank.
Yeah, so Sharma directly says, quote, our business today is not healthy, which I think most people already knew and have known for a little bit, saying that Xbox's margins are 3 to 10 times lower than comparable businesses. So crunching the numbers another way, Asha Sharma claims that Xbox lost 64 cents for every dollar they invested.
Yeah, and contextually, that figure was talking about these middle studios, the sort of the Double Fines and the Compulsions. So she's saying that to make the point that they're actually not good stewards of these smaller to mid-sized studios, which I think time has already proven her right about that.
Yeah, according to Sharma, the Xbox platform team has grown by 40% since the start of the generation, and in some places, work, and this is crazy, has to pass through 14 layers of management. That is too much management, in my opinion.
Sharma aims to reduce Xbox's bureaucratic layers to no more than 5, centered around 3 worker types, makers, player coaches, and directly responsible individuals, which are DRIs. There's no cure for being unemployed like reading all the new acronyms that you got fired for.
Room full of dries or whatever. It's going to get weird at Xbox. Yeah. But Sharma also pledges to slash vendor spend by 50%. So all third-party contractors are probably going to feel the squeeze as well.
Yeah, and maybe along those lines, Xbox also has a new chief operating officer, Helen Chang, who started at Microsoft in August of 2005, has worked there ever since, now coming off an 8-year run as Minecraft franchise studio head. Previous COO Dave McCarthy is departing after 8 years in the role.
Sharma concludes her tragic missive by sharing a deranged goal. Sharma writes, quote, I want Xbox to be one of the few companies that entertains more than 1 billion people each day. That's 1 out of every 8 people on the planet, just so you're aware. And for comparison's sake, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella confirmed that Xbox reached 500 million monthly users during an earnings call in mid-2024.
Shoot for the stars, land among the clouds, et cetera, something like that. We can make fun of it, but also it's pretty clear that this is a statement for investors. This is not a statement for people who are actually paying attention to math, but it is her signaling to the world and her business partners that she has grand ambitions and intends to still grow. I think that's the big narrative here. When you're contracting, you also want to send out the message that no, you're still going to spend money and grow. And I'm doing my job here trying to add context. If we want to be more generous with Sharma's messaging than she is with her own employees today, we can assume that she's referring to anything in the Xbox umbrella: xCloud, Minecraft, Candy Crush, Xbox entertainment stuff like the Fallout TV series. She just wants Xbox's little fingers and toes to reach as many people as possible through whatever avenue they can.
Yeah, so that's the big news straight from Xbox. But of course, there's a lot of other info out there reported from various sources. And if you're hoping that the mood is going to lift, no, all of the rest of this news is bad too.
Yeah, that's right. Rebecca Valentine reports for Kotaku that ZeniMax Online Studios, developers of The Elder Scrolls Online, have suffered brutal cuts this morning. Valentine also reports that Bethesda Studios will now focus only on the company's larger brands: Fallout, Elder Scrolls, Wolfenstein, Doom, and Quake. No mention of Starfield.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting. It's kind of surprising Quake's in there, but I'll get to that in a minute. This does counter some rumors of the past week or so that Bethesda would only focus on Fallout and the Elder Scrolls. So some of the legacy shooters are making its way in there and still finding a way to breathe. Speaking of ZeniMax, Jason Schreier also confirmed that ZeniMax at large, the whole blanket umbrella company, is also undergoing layoffs. That includes Bethesda, id Software, Machine Games, and ZeniMax Online Studios, of course. Reports that they've all been significantly affected by the layoffs. We don't know how Bethesda specifically is affected because Xbox didn't announce that. And Bethesda certainly didn't say specifically how these layoffs are affecting each individual team, so we're having to rely on some word of mouth for that.
Yeah, and along those lines, some Wicked Games CEO and former Bethesda project lead Jeff Gardner posted some rumored numbers on X: 35 jobs lost at Bethesda Game Studios and 95 at id Software. And id Software, if you're wondering, is listed as having between 50 and 200 employees on LinkedIn, so 95 would be like half almost.
Half at best.
Sometimes maybe more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does a studio even keep operating after chopping that many employees?
That's really, really bad.
Also, id Software has been shipping games this whole time. I don't know. Sorry.
You're absolutely right. Writing for The Verge, Tom Warren described the development of Arcane Leon's Blade as delayed and running over budget. And then Stephen Totillo reports a few choice bits of info via GameFile, like confirming that Undead Labs' State of Decay 3 will not be obligated to any Xbox controlling terms like inclusion in Game Pass.
Also in that post, Totillo shares some context on Sharma's reorganizing of Candy Crush and Minecraft, as those now report directly to her. Totillo reports that Sharma feels as though Minecraft has been underinvested when compared to the global phenomenon that is Roblox, and I can kind of understand that. Totillo reports that, quote, Minecraft was funding much of the rest of the Xbox gaming team rather than being deeply funded itself.
After divesting of all these studios, if you're wondering, this means that basically Xbox will have largely undone its big studio acquisition spree in 2018 and 2019. Of the many, many acquired studios, only 3 remains: inXile, which is currently making the Xbox console exclusive Clockwork Revolution; Obsidian Games, who launched Avowed, Grounded 2, and The Outer Worlds 2 last year; and Playground Games, who just launched Forza Horizon 6.
ZeniMax has also shed several studios since acquisition, including Arcane Leon, Arcane Austin, Tango Gameworks, and mobile developer AlphaDog. ZeniMax's remaining studios are Bethesda Game Studios, Machine Games, id Software, and ZeniMax Online Studios. So you can see the actual trend here. Those are the studios that are shipping games, sometimes successful. Most of the time, probably, I would say that they are successful. I mean, Obsidian Games is just constantly shipping games, which is great, but they're not always huge hits. Whereas Playground, of course, has Forza, right? So, like, you can see the trend. They're they're not even really at this point cutting the fat. They're cutting all the way to bone. And the bone is the only thing that I guess is supposedly making them money now. Sounds like to me that's mismanaged on Xbox's part because of the 14 layers of bureaucracy, which is insane. That's crazy shit. That is, by the way, absolutely should have been slashed a long time ago when Phil was there. So that's a real bummer.
Yeah, I have to wonder how we got there. Given the swelling of the platform team, to some degree, that actually makes a little bit of sense. I'm not going to say it was the right call, but in the last 5 years or so, this is sort of, we've seen Xbox really push into PC, and I think that whole initiative is probably what led to the ballooning of the Xbox platform layer, because now they have to support it on Windows and handheld and streaming and stuff like that. And at the time, I think it was a smart strategy to push into PC. I think it's still a smart strategy. So the question remains, how is Sharma going to do all this work without the people to do it? She's insistent in her posts that this does not indicate a retraction in investment. So they're going to keep spending the same amount of money, just doing it in other places on other things. And that very definitively means no more small to mid-sized studios cranking out indie darlings to make Game Pass seem like a good deal. Instead, it's just drilling down to the proven bankable franchises, which is frustrating because this is the same playbook I feel like every single publisher has gone through in their entire life cycle over and over again. But I never see them come back from this. Once you drill down and you're only working on the things that make money, where it seems like then you're just writing it out until until those franchises suddenly become non-marketable because you burn them out. Ubisoft is kind of in the middle of this. They're doing another grand restructuring around their tentpole franchises. We have yet to see it pay off. Maybe I'll eat my words in 5 years, but I doubt it. I don't know. It's all words at this point, and I kind of keep catching myself going down particular rhetorical roads and realizing that that's not going to save anyone's job, but that's also out of my hands to do anyway. So I'm just here to talk about video games as I always am. It's frustrating. It's frustrating to have to just sit on all frustration. Because like I've said before, we've seen this happen a number of times. The developers that did their jobs honestly and produced games to the best of their ability under the context they were told with the marching orders they had, now are just getting tossed out because the winds changed. And maybe if they had more awareness of their circumstance, if they had been leveled with a little more transparently about the state of Xbox or anything like that, they could have stewarded their own companies in different directions. So it's unfortunate and frustrating that companies have to do this dance. I'm a little bit worried about the announcement that all of these studios are going independent or getting acquired. Part of me worries that these agreements were put in place so that Sharma could announce this with the best optics that she possibly could. But I worry that in 2 months, these deals will suddenly fall apart, or that Double Fine will have to slash 2/3 of their workforce just to be able to go independent, and then they won't even be able to ship a game anymore because they've lost all their talent. I really hope those things don't end up happening, but those are the alarm bells going off in my head, in addition to the verifiable tragedy of thousands of people losing their jobs, and we all lose out on the artistry that could have come out of any of those people. So it's just a tragic day. There's so much to say, but fuck, it's all been said. It's being said right now. Someone else say something. Distract me from this.
I completely, I think you hit it on the head, Lawrence, when you said, when they start to make big cuts like this, it's never good. Just in my own experience, I would be very, very worried about the future of Xbox, frankly, because I've worked in places, journalism, entertainment, where once you start to cut off, even like you're cutting bone out too. I mean, you're like sort of, severing like limbs at this point. But I think what happens then is you're contracting because you're only focusing on the big money makers, but then you're not giving people as much of a reason to enjoy your product. And I think in their case, that would be Game Pass or whatever. And you're not growing because you're not trying new things. You're only trying the old things that work, but then the old things are just getting older and older and older. And I think especially in gaming with a young audience, they always want to come with what's next. I think I think the bets that they took in 2018 and 2019 probably made a lot of sense at the time. And even sort of during COVID, it may have seemed even better. But then in that aftermath, it's just, we've seen so many layoffs. I think interest rates affected it. I think a lot of global events affected it. And so I think now they're just in a horrible state. This does look like, I don't know. I'm not in there. I don't know if they're pulling out of Xbox, but it really, when you start to just say, oh, we're only going to do this and this because they make the money, well, then it's always bad news.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's just because I have yet to see a really coherent forward-looking strategy, apart from Sharma saying everything's bad and we gotta toss costs. Which is true, and now's not really the time to talk about that either. So we just have to wait, I guess. But I agree. I don't know that I've seen a company really turn it around after paring it down so low. Part of me almost thinks that this is a bit of a science experiment. If we take the Xbox division and chop it down, like if we just hatchet the numbers to where we want them to be, will the business survive? And if it does, then we can start building it back up. But if we chop it down and throw it outside and it doesn't survive the winter, then that's it. It's just never going to hit the Microsoft profit margins we need it to hit, which has, again, been the narrative of many tech companies trying to buy their way into games. Microsoft was one of the first, back in the 2000s. So they've been at it a little bit longer than, say, Google or Amazon. But it's just the same old story. And now there's other industries that are pulling a lot of that talent away. And also this industry is being actively hostile to the talent that's in it. So it's just a bad shot. I keep going back to who's going to make these games. Who's going to make the world-defining Halo that Halo Studios was supposed to be making these past 10 years or whatever. I just don't see anyone left at Xbox Game Studios who's going to walk through the doors to their studio and say, today I'm going to give everything I have to this game because I believe in it and I feel secure in my job and I feel rewarded for my artistic output. No, they're all going to start like hoarding snacks and squirreling away money and saving all their good ideas in case they have to try to get a different job or put together a prototype to try to get back in the job pool. So it's I don't see how it gets better from here.
Yeah, this is what we predicted when Asha Sharma first started. We were like, a lot of people on the internet saw all of her really positive tweets and were like, this is it. She's doing it. She's turning Xbox around. And we were talking about how it looked to me like she was just the transition CEO. Now, we don't know that for sure, right? We still got a couple of years left. I think Project Helix, again, is going to be whatever the saving grace that Xbox has, or it'll be a massive failure. I don't know. And obviously, I want to see the business turn around. This is not at all what I ever want to see. I don't ever want to see layoffs. Like Brian said, this is on top of a really terrible world economy. So it's really bad Xbox mismanagement with a terrible economy. And this is what you get. So hopefully, Asha Sharma is actually going to be here to turn it around and not just the transition CEO be, well, we laid everybody off and shut Xbox down, and she moves on to another job, and then 10,000 people lost their job. So let's hope that's not the case. I am still optimistic, even though that's initially what we thought she was going to be. And I am pulling for everybody that lost their job today. A lot of people lost their job in the games industry. A lot of people we know and love. So we really hope that they are doing okay today, and hope that the economy turns around in a shorter amount of time than a longer. So then that way we can all get back to work and doing the things that we love the most. So thank you very much for watching Inside Games today. We appreciate it, and we do not like reporting on this stuff, just like you don't like hearing it.